will dive next to last, and she is from the host school, the Texas Longhorns. In the meantime, Emily Meany of Purdue. The last 2 years in this event, 7th and 27th. Didn't qualify for the final last year, and she just snuck in this year. Her first dive of 5, going from the 7-meter platform. She can go from the 5, the 7, or the 10.
This is the only dive that's being done from one of the lower platforms. There's 3 platforms, and that's the middle one, the 7.5-meter platform. Emily starts off with an inward 2.5 somersault. Most of the dives you're going to see are around 3.0 or above degree of difficulty. And we've talked about this many times before, but it bears repeating that the middle 3 scores are added together and then multiplied times the degree of difficulty. There she is with Adam Soldati, the great coach at Purdue in his 14th year there, coached Olympic champion and still coaches him, David Bodaya.
Maha Gouda, a freshman from Alexandria, Egypt, dives for Florida International University. Dived on platform for her native Egypt at the Rio Olympics. The first Egyptian women's diver to ever compete in the Olympics.
Maha has very pretty entries. She knows how to go in the water without making much splash. You see her just a little bobbling in the arm stand before she pushed off of the platform to do the double somersaults with a half twist. So there might be a slight deduction for that lack of control in the arm stand.
And as you mentioned, the 2 highest scores and the 2 lowest scores are dropped. The middle 3 added together and multiplied by the degree of difficulty. That gets her to her dive score of 58.05. Elise Kalanji of Texas A&M. This is her first platform final at the NCAAs. Learned to dive only a few years ago. 2016, she was 11th on platform, then 18th, and last year 37th.
She is an amazing person. Being only in her 6th or 7th year of diving total, and learning a platform list once she got to Texas A&M. She's a senior, and she has just gotten better and better and better. And to be in this first final, and she's in nuclear engineering. Wow.
Wow. Abigail Napton, junior for Nebraska. It's her 3rd platform final in 3 years. 4th in 2017, 8th in 2018.
Platform diving is so different from springboard diving because it's much more like the ground, the floor X in gymnastics, and a little bit like aerial skiing. You do all these tricks in the air, but you have to figure out a way to get off the platform and jump up, even though you're almost 33 feet from the surface of the water before you jump.
Scores 6.5 and 7. And now Jessica Parado, the redshirt senior from Indiana. She was the platform champion back in 2015. Took an Olympic red shirt in 2016, a runner-up in 2017, 7th last year.
She's just got a ton of experience, and she's been in Indiana studying and training for diving. She's had some injuries here and there, nothing catastrophic. She's had a little bit of neck issues, and she's going to go out to Colorado Springs to the Olympic Training Center and get up to check it out right after this competition, actually, before she goes to international competitions.
She cards 7s and 8s. And now the 2-time defending champion Olivia Rosendahl won last year in Columbus, the year before in Indianapolis, and won despite the fact Northwestern does not have a 10-meter platform. She has to travel elsewhere to train.
And she is normally the picture of consistency. This dive is not one of her better reverse 2.5s. I've always thought that this was one of the best dives in her list, but you see her slide over past vertical going in the water there, and it's still not a bad dive. And that's what I talked about in the opening, that even when she misses, it's slight.
Olivia Rosendahl, the two-time defending champion. Murphy Bromberg of Texas. She was the runner-up last year. What would it mean to her to win the NCAA championship here in her home diving hall?
Well, I think it would be huge because she's a senior, and Murphy has come all the way back from what could have been career-ending injuries and surgery, and couldn't dive platform for quite a while, over a year basically, and is now diving up there again, vying for titles, and she is a terrific springboard diver also. This dive just put her in the lead in the first round. A senior at the University of Texas, a national champion, but never won an NCAA title.
Her score is 7-8, but the degree of difficulty, the highest in the first round, along with the next diver, Delaney Schnell. That's why that score, 73.6, puts her in the lead. Now the top qualifier, Delaney Schnell, qualified first in 3 meter. Things didn't go well for her. Top qualifier here on platform. Let's see how she does. Solid start.
That was very solid. Pretty dive, a back 2.5 with 1.5 twists. It's a mouthful and it's a lot of dive. It's very gymnastic. Take off and initiate somersault going backwards, and then you start twisting. Then you finish the somersault and go in the water vertically without a splash. Now she's the leader, a top qualifier. You know that she's going to win eventually because she's been the top qualifier more than once.
Talking with her coach, Dwight DeMay, 75.2, the highest scoring dive in the first round. Delaney Schnell, one to root for among many others here in this final. There's the first round down, and Schnell has the lead slightly over Murphy Bromberg. Jessica Parado in third right now, as we have 1 round down and 4 to go. Olivia Rosendahl, the defending champion, sitting a little less than 17 points back after 1 dive. Emily Heaney of Purdue. She just snuck into this final, and she had the lowest scoring dive in the first round. Let's see how she can respond.
Was 7th in this competition 2 years ago. And Emily is Australian, has had some good international experience. Diving with a great group of divers at Purdue. It's almost like a national team there.
Excellent job maintaining that handstand.
Oh yes, the judges want to see, excuse me, control and balance. And there's Adam Soldati, the longtime coach, 14 years at Purdue. He was a diver at Indiana. His wife was a diver at Indiana, the great Kimiko Harai Soldati. And of course, he's coached a lot of champions. I talked about David Badaya, the Olympic champion. David's got 3 Olympic medals. And he also has Will Johnson, another Olympic medalist, who teamed up with David in synchronized diving to win a medal.
Now Maha Gouda of Florida International. Multiple sports as a youth, also gymnastics, swimming, track, ballet. Even took a bronze medal in the Egyptian National Fencing Championships.
An amazing athlete all around, and Florida International University, not necessarily known for being in the finals at the NCAAs, but coached by another great diver who was a 4-time NCAA champion, Rio Ramirez. In his 7th year coaching there, he was from Cuba. He defected during the Pan American Games in 1993, became a great champion at Miami, and was also a lead performer in Cirque du Soleil out in Las Vegas.
Wow, using those diving skills well.
Hopefully we'll get to see Rio eventually when she goes over to him, and he might be hiding.
Elise Palangi of Texas A&M.
She might be using her engineering skills, her especially physics, to figure out all of this diving spinning and twisting and going in the water vertically. This is a gorgeous inward 3.5 with high degree of difficulty. This is the kind of dive the champion's going to have to do because this is a terrific field. And there's Jay LaRue. He was an aerial skier, the first guy to ever do a backflip on skis.
Wow. And that, by the way, for Kalanji, the highest scoring dive of anybody so far in this platform competition. We're about midway through the second round. Abigail Napton of Nebraska.
Oh, she misses that dive. And it really started off the platform. She leaned back away from the platform just slightly, so the takeoff sometimes determines what happens on the end of the dive. And if it's not a real consistent takeoff or imbalance, then you have trouble finding how to go in the water straight.
Just a 48 for Napton. Now here's Jessica Parado. This is the highest degree of difficulty of any dive in this competition.
And this could be the key to her winning this competition. It's only in the second round of 5, but Jessica Parado is very capable of doing this dive well. She didn't do it not great, well, not even really good in the preliminaries, but good enough to be in the finals because all of her other dives were so solid. And there you go. There's that miss. That would be considered deficient. In other words, she did not complete the somersaults. As she leaves the platform, she almost sits in a chair a little bit before initiating the legs up into the pike position. And you see what happens. Not getting to vertical, anywhere near vertical.
It's unanimous. 4s from all the judges. Olivia Rosendahl in 5th place. Again, she's the 2-time defending champion. Eyes shut, going through her mental choreography.
A little bit like Jason Day in golf before he approaches his setup for the golf swing, and you don't ever count Olivia Rosendahl out. Again, she hasn't done a spectacular dive yet, so the first 2 dives were a little bit of a miss, but you just never know what's going to happen. She doesn't miss much when she does miss, and that's a big splash for her, which is uncharacteristic.
Elise Kalanji, the 3rd diver, has the lead right now. We have 2 divers remaining in this second round. Murphy Bromberg and Delaney Schnell both had solid first dives. They could catch or pass Kalanji with good dives here. This is Murphy Bromberg of Texas.
I have so much respect for this young woman who has just worked her way back after all those injuries and the surgery, and what an entry into the water. Diving in her home pool as a senior, this is huge, just huge. And Murphy Bromberg is really one of my heroes just because of all the things that she has accomplished since having trouble almost making the Olympic team in 2016.
Look at that,
almost.
even a 9.5. Highest scoring dive so far in the competition, an 81 for Bromberg here in her home diving well. Now Delaney Schnell, the leader after 1 round, needs a very good one here to maintain that lead.
An arm stand starts the minute the feet leave the platform. That's when the judges start judging. There. I don't think she held the arm stand long enough. She certainly had control, and she got up into the arm stand very nicely. I think she could have held that a little bit longer. They don't put a clock on it, but somewhere maybe around 3 seconds to demonstrate that you have total control. So Murphy Bromberg takes a big step towards a title in her home pool at UT.
Yep, she has the highest scoring dive so far in the competition. She has the lead by about 12 points over Elise Kalanji. Staying loose between dives, Murphy Bromberg of Texas, the highest scoring dive so far in the competition. This was the second round.
Wow, and you could hear the dramatic entry as she flattens her palms to go in the water. That was the best one done.
Emily Meany of Purdue in 4th place, hanging in there, 3 dives left. about 27 points behind.
Oh, pretty. Very pretty. I used to do a little diving here at the University of Texas, and I always remember that up there on that 10-meter where the roof is a little bit pitched, it was warmer, actually sometimes hot up there, and I really loved that because there was nothing worse than being cold diving. What a great third-round dive for Emily Mead.
Talking with Coach Abel Soldati. And great indeed. We've got a 9 from one judge. Now Mahaguda, the freshman for Florida International from Alexandria, Egypt. Frequent Conference USA Diver of the Week here in her freshman season.
Diving for Rio Ramirez, the coach I talked about that defected from Cuba many years ago in 1993 during the Pan American Games, and then became a champion at Miami. Oh, she misses that one slightly. And you can tell when a diver unfolds a little bit late that it's really hard to try and stop a dive to go in vertically. She seems to see the spot, the visual reference in front of her, but she unfolds almost straight up to the ceiling, and she still has a long way to fall after that, so she goes past her.
Elise Kalanji in second place, trailing it by about 12 points, heading into her third of 5 dives, and pretty high degree of difficulty here, 3.2.
Yeah, she's choosing to do an arm stand. The women do not have to do an arm stand, but they can choose to. The men must, because they do one more round of dive than the women. Beautiful. Oh, and just reaches underneath her body slightly before going in the water. Good control on the arm stand. Nice twisting, straight position. But you see that splash there. So, not quite as good as her first 2 dives.
Had an excellent second round dive, carding an 80, the second highest so far in the competition. Jay LaRue. Now Abigail Napton of Nebraska. We talk about Olivia Rosendahl of Northwestern not having a 10-meter platform. They don't have one at Nebraska either.
No, they travel to Iowa, they travel to Missouri. A lot of time in the car getting to a pool where they can train. And she is really amazing. She's got charisma in her diving. She's fun to watch. I always look forward to watching Abigail Napton. She's quick, she's pretty, she has a beautiful stretch and toe point. And her coach, Natalia Chikina, was an Olympian for Kazakhstan. And she's in her 12th year at Nebraska coaching.
7.5 to 8.5. A total of 70. Jessica Parado is next in 6th place after 2 dives. She was the champion 4 years ago. Her father, Mike, a swim coach, who in fact worked with Jenny Thompson as a youth in New Hampshire.
And her mother, Amy, coached Jessica in diving. So they are definitely an aquatic family.
Yeah, Mike now coaches Reagan Smith at Riptide, and her record held up in the 200 back earlier.
They are amazing talents in and out of the water. And Jessica comes back on her 3rd round dive. She missed in round 2 and comes back here with a high degree of difficulty dive. Anytime you score above 70 points, you're probably doing yourself a lot of good, and she's going to move up. She's got 2 more rounds to try and get herself back up into the top 3.
And now Rosendahl, who won last year in Columbus, won the year before in Indianapolis, looking to make it 3 in a row. In 7th place, she has a lot of making up to do with 3 dives remaining.
She has beautiful straight lines in her arm stand. She's not hitting her entries as well as I've seen her hit them in the past. She has very good form, no breaks in form most of the time. You see that she is doing a cartwheel basically up into an arm stand, and then a steady balance. How great is that? And just a little bit of a mistake on the entry, and that's why we're not seeing 70 points on that dive.
Now Murphy Bromberg of Texas, the leader in this high degree of difficulty, 3.3, second highest in the competition.
Oh, that was nice. That may be the reason why Murphy Bromberg wins this contest. That back 3.5 at 3.3 is going to pay off big time. And she was already way ahead of her progress last year when she was second. Wow. She is going to pull away from the crowd, way away from the rest of the divers right now.
8.5 and 9 for Murphy Bromberg, 87.45, the highest scoring dive in the competition. So now she has the highest and the second highest scoring dives so far. Delaney Schnell is in third place after the last round, trailing it by 14 points.
Even if she got 10s, she couldn't go ahead of Murphy Bromberg right now. And she did the same dive and left it short of vertical, and that's a bit of a mistake for Delaney Schnell, the top qualifier. She was 13th on the 1 meter and 6th on the 3 meter.
And so Murphy Bromberg, the Texas Longhorn, diving in her home diving well. Delaney Schnell with 4 to 5.5. She needed better to keep up. It's Bromberg who has the lead, 3 rounds down and 2 to go here in the platform competition. Over Elise Kalanji, she leads by almost 38 points with 2 dives remaining. Bromberg is in the driver's seat trying to win this at her home diving well. Emily Meany of Purdue will start off round number 4 in third place. She trails it by about 43 points.
I tell you what was great about Emily's dive was her takeoff. It was really straight up in the air, got into that pike position with beautiful folding herself in half. Lovely dive.
Up next, Maha Gouda of Florida International and her coach, former Cuban diver Rio Ramirez.
And there's Rio watching as his student Maha, the freshman, gets ready to go. And I told you about how he was in Cirque du Soleil's O Performance, having a lead out in Las Vegas, having been a 4-time NCAA champion at the University of Miami after immigrating to the United States during the Pan American Games, defecting in 1993. And he is just a gem of a guy.
His diver, Maha Gouda.
Well, she has a real good feel for where vertical is, but her feet were a little bit flat as she went past the platform. You see right there. And she knows that if she points those toes, her feet might touch the platform. It's not dangerous, but they could scrape the end of the platform. She doesn't want that to happen. And there's Rio supporting his diver. He's in his 7th year at Florida International University as a coach.
Elise Kalanji of Texas A&M in second place, trailing it by almost 38 points. Her next to last dive. Her mom, Catherine, at one time, an assistant to the Saudi prince in San Francisco.
I like watching her dive as well because she's not afraid to jump off the platform. I mean, here you are, 3 stories above the surface of the water, and yet you jump up. You're not afraid to jump up above the platform to start those somersaults. Now, she made a mistake as she came out and arched her back and bent her knees just slightly in that dive. And the feet come apart as we see them. The judges don't see it from that angle. They only see it from the side.
3 judges on one side, 4 on another. And that can lead to a discrepancy in the scores that we see sometimes, right?
Well, sure, because they're sitting not only on opposite sides of the pool most of the time, they're all sitting on the same side here because of the configuration of the pool deck, but they all see it from a different angle. Abigail Napton, the junior from Nebraska. Now that was a perfect arm stand. The entry into the water is a bit splashy, and what a pretty dive this is until that splash comes up, which means that she didn't quite get her arms together and her hands flattened to make that hole to get through. I think her hands were close together, but they weren't grabbed one over the other before she went in the water.
Jessica Parado now, the champion 4 years ago, took an Olympic red shirt in 2016, was the runner-up in 2017, 7th last year. Dive for the U.S. in the Rio Olympics, was 10th on platform, 7th on synchro platform.
And her coach, Drew Johansson, was the head Olympic coach. He's in his 6th year at Indiana. Perfect press up into the arm stand. She's going to pick up some points here. And this is just very well controlled. She pushes off and does 2 somersaults and 1.5 twists, and a slight deduction for her feet coming apart a little bit in that twist. Hard to hold your feet together in a twist.
Good dive, 75.2. That's her second best of the competition. She'd be right in the thick of things if not for her second round dive. Olivia Rosendahl, the 2-time defending champion a couple of years ago, became Northwestern's first ever national champ. Then last year when she won, her final 3 dives were all 70 plus. She's going to need even better than that to have a shot in this one, and she's going to need some help from Murphy Bromberg, who dives next.
She misses another entry. I'm very surprised because I have talked about her consistency in the past, and that's the way she's won a lot of titles, including national titles, but not on tonight.
Who is on?
Murphy Bromberg.
Yes. The redshirt senior from Texas, didn't dive at all in 2016 or 2017 because of injuries. Came back and was the runner-up on platform last year in Columbus, and now is in the driver's seat here in her home facility. 2 dives remaining. If she hits both of them, she'll win.
I don't know anybody that doesn't love Murphy Bromberg. She's smart, she's fun, she's funny, she's got a great work ethic, and she is just an amazing athlete to be in the position that she's been in on springboard and platform. A springboard finalist also.
Big 12 champion 2015, 2018, and this year on platform.
Perfect. Oh, she hits another great dive.
So far, so good.
I would make a prediction right now, but I don't want to give it away because we still have a whole another round to go. But Murphy Bromberg just put away the second to last round dive as she did in round 3. Holy smoly, she is driving the bus.
And Matt Scoggin knows that she has 1 dive left to hit, and she'll be an NCAA champion again. Great dive. And now Delaney Schnell, the top qualifier, in 5th place after 3 rounds. Considered one of the best recruits in the country coming into last year. Sophomore for Arizona.
And that's a good entry into the water. Delaney Schnell, all the talent in the world, just trying to figure out how to put it all together in a competition to be consistent on all of the rounds of dives. We know she's going to get some dives where she gets 8s and above, but she also has some mistakes here and there that keep her from being totally consistent.
1 round left. There's Murphy Bromberg. Can she get the job done in her home pool? With 1 round remaining, Emily Meany, who qualified 8th earlier, is in 2nd. She will go first in the final round.
This contest is all about 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right now because Murphy Bromberg is in the driver's seat big time for the win. And Emily Meany, the junior from Australia, diving at Purdue, doing the same dive that Jessica Parado will do, and the same dive that Murphy Bromberg is going to do. At 3.2 degree of difficulty, a lot of divers do this dive last because it's what we call a dive that you can see the water in front of you, not a blind entry. You see the water in front of you to line it up, and that is sometimes easier for divers to figure out where vertical is instead of spinning in a back or reverse mode.
I can see why. A hug for Adam Soldati. We have 5 different divers in this final round. We'll do that same dive, including the leader, Murphy Bromberg, who will dive next to last. Now, Maha Gouda of Florida International.
The only freshman in this final.
Rio Olympian for Egypt.
You know, she's done a really good job. She had 1 dive where she got below 6s, and everything else has been 6 or above. So I would expect to see her back again and getting better. I mean, when you're the only freshman, you know that you've got a lot of things to work on and that you have more time than anybody else.
Yep, expect to see her again. Bright future for Maha Gouda.
And there's Rio Ramirez, her coach. Good for them.
Elise Kalagi of Texas A&M had been 2nd after her 3rd dive. Suffered carded just a 46.2 in her 4th dive, and now this is her final dive in 5th place.
She has a beautiful twisting action. She doesn't do this dive as well as she can, and it's a lower degree of difficulty, so she's in 5th place, and this probably won't help her to move up a whole lot, even though the jump is dynamic. Twisting position, great, but you see that splash going in the water. It indicates maybe that she's not quite vertical and that she's not quite lined up the way she would want to go in without the splash.
Abigail Napton of Nebraska is next. Her diving career began in the summer between 8th and 9th grade when she switched to diving from competitive gymnastics, and a lot of divers are former gymnasts.
A lot of platform divers are, particularly. This event is a good transition from gymnastics. Not as much on the springboard, but this one, yes. Oh, that is, the possibilities on this dive are endless. And she's not quite all the way rotated to 3.5 somersaults, but look how high she is when she jumps off the platform and never loses her form, her toe point, her stretch. She did this dive beautifully in the preliminaries. It was the best dive of the preliminaries, not quite as good in the finals.
She cards a 69.3. Murphy Bromberg awaiting her turn. She's 3 divers away. She needs a hit. Any kind of hit will give her the championship.
I think she's just got to go off the right end of the platform.
Leading it by, what, 53 points after the last round?
She's leading by a lot, and she has a dive that is very safe. She's confident on the dive. She likes the dive, and she's been doing it for a long time.
The next 3 divers will do the exact same dive. Parado, Rosendahl, and Bromberg.
Parado needs 7.5s to go ahead of Emily Meany. Well, it's going to be close. 7, 7.5. She was maybe not quite all the way square on the twist, which means she might have been twisting just slightly as she went in the water. It's a pretty dive, and it's a good dive. Will she get enough 7.5s to go ahead of Emily Meany? You can see that she's a little twisted right there. She goes in the water and doesn't quite line. She doesn't get it. Just slightly.
And
below
now
the score.
Olivia Rosendahl is next, and then we'll see Bromberg. But Rosendahl, the two-time defending champion, won't get it this year in 7th place after 4 dives. She's 4th as a freshman, 1st as a sophomore, 1st as a junior, in the final again here as a senior.
Well, she misses an entry once again, which I've said all along, uncharacteristic. The question now is going to be Bromberg's. I'm betting that she's going to win, and I'm not a betting person. But will Delaney Schnell be in the top 3 with her last dive? She's the last diver of the competition.
Murphy Bromberg, the Ohio native, dives for Texas, was 6th on platform in 2015. She missed all of the next 2 years with injury. Came back last year in Columbus and was runner-up. And now, diving in her home facility, she has a chance to win an NCAA championship.
And you can believe that there are a lot more people besides Texas fans that are rooting for Murphy Bromberg. They know her story, they know what she's been through, and she has dived so beautifully. She will win by a ton.
Murphy Bromberg is an NCAA champion.
The first NCAA title for Murphy Bromberg. She's been a national champion, so close to making the Olympic team. And check it out. She almost breaks the record. She is about 5+ points away from the record in this event.
Yeah, how good was she? 5.15 points away from Haley Ishimatsu's record set back in 2013. Matt Scoggin loving it as his diver will be an NCAA champion. Congratulations to Murphy Bromberg.
What a great celebration for those two. They've been through so much together, and they are fabulous.
You know, Delaney should have let her putt out last.
Delaney needs 8s to go ahead to get 2nd place. Oh, she almost put that dive away for 9s. That splash coming up means that she was still moving a little bit in the somersault as she went through the water. Will she be in the top 3? That's the question. No.
60.8.
Just misses.
321.45. But this one belongs to Murphy Bromberg, the Texas Longhorn. Here at the Lee and Joe Jamail Texas Swimming Center. Her home diving well, and she wins the NCAA championship.
Murphy's last dive, and her real name is Samantha. She goes by Murphy, but what a performance. She received 7s or above on every dive she did, and she was so poised, looked confident, never, ever a doubt that she was going to be the champion when it got to round 3.
Looking back, since 2008, the only score higher than hers since 08 was Haley Ishimatsu's record in 2013.